In the shadows of the Gibeah Hills, an unnamed woman steps into an untold story where divine justice is forgotten and courage is put to the test. Who is she? A concubine, a victim, or a symbol of faith amidst suffering? Her story in the Bible echoes through time, raising the question, what happens when humanity turns its back on God's grace? Today, we will explore the tragic yet profound journey of this woman, an untold tale of redemption and courage. Join us as we step into her world, where wisdom and faith confront injustice. Follow our channel to discover more inspiring stories of women in the Bible. The dawn fades gently over the Gibeah Hills, casting a warm golden veil across the rustic villages, as if urging every soul to awaken. Amid this radiant tapestry, Gibeah emerges as a tender yet resolute silhouette, an unnamed woman whose fate has bestowed upon her a profound role, a living testament to the hidden beauty and strength of women in the Bible. Her name may not be etched in the grand annals of history, but her heart and faith resonate throughout the village, like a wordless prayer, stepping boldly into an untold story of grace, wisdom, and divine justice. Gibeah grew up beside a small stream where village children frolicked under the morning sun. Around her modest thatched home, wildflowers stretched upward from parched soil, marking a tenacious life force. From a young age, she learned to listen to the whispering wind, to the cheerful chatter of birds, to the distant toll of the temple bell, calling all to faith and gratitude. Beneath her simple shawl, Gibeah's soft hair draped over her shoulders, a quiet shield concealing a spiritual strength, an unspoken power that the men who dismissed her could never perceive. Life in Gibeah seemed simple, almost unremarkable. Ox carts rumbled over cobblestone paths. The clop of hooves mingled with the chime of prayer bells. Villagers toiled diligently in barley fields, and occasionally wisps of smoke rose from creaky thatched roofs. Yet, beneath this tranquil veneer, Gibeah sensed lurking threats in the hushed gossip by doorways or the weary eyes of stooped elders. Soldiers dispatched from Jerusalem, decrees imposed by distant authorities, and a harsh system of laws aimed solely at women reminded Gibeah of the fragile line between freedom and servitude. In this setting, Gibeah, the concubine of a Levite, embraced her role as a witness to grace. Living beside a husband revered for his knowledge of law and temple economy, she understood that the power of faith stemmed not from solemn rituals, but from quiet moments, from the hearts of the humble. She never appeared in the assemblies, yet her prayers echoed in the dreams of those touched by her life. It was this wisdom that would shatter the stones of injustice, letting divine justice speak. Women in the Bible are often overshadowed, mere fleeting figures by the wayside. But Gibeah chose to be a torch piercing the darkness. She was ready to bear the weight of responsibility, even in the face of prejudice and danger. In Gibeah's somber air, she walked slowly, her hand tracing cold stone walls, listening to the village's breath. Each crack in those walls bore the imprint of tragic tales, yet also carried the unextinguished flame of hope. Around Gibeah, supporting characters brought her story to life. The elderly neighbor, his white hair gleaming, his frame bent, brought baskets of sweet fruit to her doorstep daily. He gazed at Gibeah with eyes full of compassion and admiration, as if recognizing that the greatest miracles often spring from the smallest souls. Inside his humble home, his wife skillfully prepared bread and goat's milk, quietly reminding Cheka that protection came not only from power, but from love and compassion. Farther off, local leaders cloaked in dark robes, armed with long swords and iron shields, gathered around a heavy wooden table. They debated and deliberated, never valuing the role of women in the Bible, so Cheka's voice was a direct challenge to their order. They awaited her explanation or an excuse to suppress her. The air was taut as a bowstring, every sound amplified. The wind whipping through olive branches, the crunch of dry leaves underfoot. One day, the local leaders issued a decree to seize Cheka, accusing her of disrupting family order. The command, inscribed on parchment and sealed with a silver lion's crest, a symbol of authority tainted by injustice, ignited a blaze of tension, staining the village's heart with a wound to divine justice. When Cheka heard the news, she did not rush to protest. Instead, she let her soul drift with the wind, bask in the noonday sun, and quietly picked up a smooth stone by the roadside. Small but sturdy, it mirrored her resolve, a reminder that no matter how cruel fate or harsh the law, courage and faith could move even the mightiest stone walls. In Cheka's eyes, divine justice didn't wait for Jerusalem's halls of power. It began in every human heart. She knew that to turn her prayers into transformative action, she must step out of the shadows, expose the truth, and let grace lead the way. Cheka's journey was both humble and extraordinary as she plunged into the whirlpool of injustice, carrying hope for women cast to the margins of history. As night falls, Gibeah drapes itself in a somber cloak. The silver moonlight faintly reveals the stark faces of stone houses perched on the hillside, while cold winds slip through door cracks, carrying whispers of dread. In her small room, Cheka awakens to piercing shouts. The old wooden beams tremble as soldiers pound the door, their iron boots crushing the rotting frame. Each sound pulses like a faltering heartbeat, her chest swelling with a tumult of rage and fear. Does divine justice still exist when hands wielding iron swords claim the right to judge and execute? This is the bitter first question of her untold journey. The soldiers shove the door open, a gust of smoke and embers from their torches swirling inside. Flickering light floods the room, exposing shadowy figures with menacing faces. Cheka struggles to her feet, her tattered shawl wrapped around her waist, dried blood and dirt clinging to her bare heels. Her heart feels shattered, yet deep within, her faith burns fiercely, proud as a sacred flame. She closes her eyes, praying through soft sighs, beseeching the Lord's protection. In that moment, a dream flickers through Cheka's mind. A radiant beam piercing the decayed wooden wall, shining directly into her heart, like a reminder from the Almighty. The light is not gilded or blinding, but gentle, warm, like a tender hand soothing a wounded soul. The dream resounds like a prophecy, urging Cheka to endure physical pain and seek redemption within her own spirit. Her face bears the quiet wisdom of biblical women. She gently pulls a prayer letter from beneath her shawl, written in clotted charcoal ink, brimming with pleas for the forsaken. A sharp sword may cleave flesh, but it cannot erode the faith rooted deep in her heart. The guards falter, halting as Cheka raises the letter. In that fleeting pause, the wind whistling through the door cracks blends with her heartbeat, creating a breathless, taut symphony. Soon after, the village elders, cloaked in ashen robes, gather in a makeshift sanctuary. By the dim glow of an oil lamp, They convene an urgent trial to judge the woman who dared defy family order. Cheka enters the courtroom, her slender frame regal, like an oil lamp standing firm against a storm. Her heart brims with pride, though her eyes shimmer with nameless sorrow. Murmurs ripple through the crowd, laced with doubt and discontent from those who believe women should remain silent before unjust decrees. The accusation rings out. Cheka is charged with disrupting family order, a vague notion twisted by lords into a tool to oppress women. The trial unfolds swiftly, with no advocate to defend her, only the cold stares of the elders and the steady tap of a wooden gavel, signaling a cruel fate. Cheka's heart seems to stop as the guilty verdict is pronounced. But in the next instant, a fierce resolve takes hold. She will not bow. Amid despair, an elderly witness slowly steps forward. Once the town's pastor, he still carries the mark of his silver hair and piercing eyes. He reveals that, in the night, he too saw the dreamlike light Cheka had described, a miraculous sign on the stone wall before her home, a silent testament to divine intervention. His unexpected testimony freezes the courtroom, as if all of Gibeah holds its breath in anticipation. Smoke from the oil lamp mingles with the tense air, crafting a spiritual scene both mysterious and tragic. Hope ignites in Cheka's heart. Divine justice is not mere words on parchment, but a quiet force weaving through every breeze, every drop of midnight dew. In that moment, she feels neither fear nor pain. She senses grace embracing her, tirelessly awakening the community's conscience. The night's final sound is not the gavel's strike or the crowd shouts. It is a collective sigh of relief as some elders begin scouring ancient legal records, reconsidering the verdict just pronounced. They fall silent, for Cheka's story of light and courage has become a living testament, stirring even the coldest hearts. The initial conflict closes with Cheka stepping into the temple courtyard, her eyes lifted to a star-filled swan. The moonlight remains cold, but to her, it is no longer a sign of fear but a promise. Divine justice endures, and grace will guide those hearts bold enough to stand against injustice. The first dawn after the harrowing night still carries a chill, but the air feels subtly transformed. Cheka stands at the threshold of the sanctuary, her eyes blazing with unshakable resolve. She knows she is not alone. Her pain has become a voice for countless unnamed women, those forgotten by society. From the depths of her soul, she hears the echo of grace, understanding that now is the time to act. She steps into the room filled with the skeptical gazes of local leaders, men who pride themselves on power but rarely confront truth. Without grand eloquence, Cheka speaks softly, each word a bridge spanning past and present. She recounts her journey through scorched, barren fields, where she saw a trembling old woman beg for a sip of water and a stranger pause to offer a grimy flask. Grace, she says, from God is not a luxury, but a pure stream flowing to anyone who calls upon it. Her words weave into every heart, easing the tense atmosphere. After a moment of silence, Cheka leads the listeners to the sacred well, where legend says water once flowed with the prayers of ancestors. The group treads a muddy path left by spring rains, each step a mark of reminder. Justice and faith walk hand in hand. At the well, Cheka raises her hand, her gaze fixed on the weathered limestone, and whispers of the grace that guided Israel through the desert, from thirst to cool springs. She deftly ties this to the plight of women today. belittled, undervalued, even deemed sinful for speaking out. Dozens of eyes, from elders to children, lock onto Cheka. Some feel a powerful surge like waves crashing ashore, forcing even the driest thoughts to yield to hope. The guards, hands still gripping spears, suddenly pause. An uncanny silence blankets the scene, as if nature itself halts to hear her words. Before her story concludes, the sky darkens, heavy clouds rolling in. The first raindrops fall, mingling with murmurs. Then a downpour cascades, quenching the children's desperate thirst and forming a delicate veil over Cheka's steps. Beneath the cool rain, she closes her eyes, breathes softly, and feels pure grace, not only washing away dust, but soothing her heart's wounds. The rain's rhythm becomes a melody of redemption, stirring fearful hearts into fervent hope. In this almost mystical scene, the spiritual leader, an aged pastor, long widowed with salt and pepper hair and piercing eyes, looks at Cheka with reverence. He steps forward, places a hand on her shoulder, and whispers just loud enough for those nearby. Only the courageous are worthy of grace. His brief words carry weight, like seeds sown in every heart, ready to sprout into transformative action. Soon the crowd begins collecting rainwater in jars, sharing it with the thirsty village, drawing the attention of the encircling soldiers. Those who once clenched spears intent on publicly subduing a frail woman now sense an unyielding yet gentle force, the whip of faith and wisdom. Step by step, Cheka moves through the crowd, clutching her singed prayer letter, reminding them of the promises their ancestors offered to the Almighty. The emotional crescendo erupts when a faint sunbeam pierces the thin clouds, illuminating the letter. The worn, tattered paper glows, casting a fragile but vivid streak of light through the rain. Sighs turn to soft applause, then thunderous clapping. Silent footsteps now march forward, as young men, women, even figures of authority step closer to listen. No weapons are needed. A single woman championing divine justice multiplies strength tenfold. In that moment, Cheka feels history shifting. Her long, silent faith becomes a ripple of action, spreading through the community. Furrowed brows soften into faint smiles, eyes brimming with hope. Her message is clear. We cannot forget divine justice, and faith will pave the way for redemption. Her voice resounds, no longer solitary, but a chorus of unity, urging all to walk the path of faith. The action closes with Cheka standing by the sacred well, her letter raised high, rain falling steadily. She needs no earthly court, for the spiritual tribunal has spoken. Justice does not wait, and grace does not seek to land. They are already there, in hearts that dare to believe and act, now spreading across Gibeah's hills, a testament that redemption comes to those ready to open their souls. As the final hues of sunset sink behind the Gibeah hills, a chilling silence engulfs the village. The usual hum of daily life falls mute, leaving only the crackle of embers from the sacred letter's ashes. The dissenters, once wielding power through unjust decrees, now gather around the smoldering remains, shouting slogans to nullify the formal trial. They surge forward, shoving Cheka into the temple courtyard, chaining her to a wooden post like a sacrificial offering to their so-called family order. The acrid scent of burnt paper mingles with damp wood and sweat, unsettling even the fiercest warriors' hearts. Yet, though the flames have reduced the letter's words to ash, Cheka's faith remains untouched, defying the might of tyranny. Clad in tattered garments and weighted by heavy chains, Cheka closes her eyes, savoring the silence within her soul. She feels the warm blood still coursing through her, like unquenchable sparks of hope. In that moment, a mystical beam of light pierces the gloomy clouds, shining directly onto the pile of ashes. The golden, pure radiance seems to reach for every witnessing heart. All sounds cease, leaving only the synchronized heartbeats of the wicked and the righteous, united in awestruck breaths. The soldiers who moments before mocked the concubine's pain fall silent. This miraculous intervention halts their hands, their eyes wide with astonishment. They sense a sacred force flooding the scene, awakening hidden faith deep within each heart. No more shouts, only a stifling stillness, a moment where nature and spirit intertwine. Amid the shock, Cheka opens her eyes. Her weary gaze sparkles with unbreakable faith as the light touches her. A faint smile flickers, reminding all that boundless grace cannot be extinguished. Under this wondrous light, the chains around Cheka's neck and feet seem to loosen, as if existing only to testify to faith's power. She tilts her head skyward with reverence, answering a wordless call. The dissenters, once clutching power, now bow their heads in shame, unable to strike the frail girl. Instead of dominating, they step back, revealing a sacred void of their own making. In that radiant glow, Cheka senses the presence of the spiritual leader, the aged pastor from her dreams, lingering beside her. He kneels, hands clasped, his eyes conveying a silent truth. Faith and courage are the mightiest weapons. The wisdom of biblical women lies not in swords, but in hearts willing to sacrifice, trusting in divine justice. This stirs the chief judge, once cold in his verdict, unable to maintain his stance. He turns, gazing at Cheka with respect laced with guilt. The trial's annulment is declared wordlessly as he strikes the wooden gavel one final time. The chains clatter against the post, then collapse to the courtyard, setting her free. Cheka stands tall, the sky behind her opening to reveal soft pink hues of dawn, heralding a new beginning. Cheers of joy erupt across Gibeah. Villagers, once trembling before authority, embrace one another, their faith reborn. A light rain falls, washing away the letter's ashes, reminding them that divine justice relies not on documents, but lives in human hearts. Exhausted but with eyes alight, Cheka steps into the crowd, arms outstretched. In this moment, she is no mere victim, but an enduring inspiration for all whose voices have been silenced. The scene intensifies as a group of women, each bearing scars like Cheka's, emerges from the village's corners. They approach quietly, hand in hand, forming a long line behind her, a small army of faith. Each carries her own story, now united in a collective cry for justice and modern grace. Their solidarity shatters the atmosphere, bringing strength to overcome any prejudice or chain. In the onlooker's eyes, this band of women stands noble and majestic, surpassing any army. They wield no weapons, only faith and love. And that power is enough to transform Gibeah into a living symbol of an ideal society where divine justice and courage are forever exalted. As the first rays of dawn filter through the olive leaves, The village of Gibeah awakens as if from a long, tragic dream. On the dry ground by the sacred well, Cheka and her band of courageous women perform a ritual of planting trees, a seemingly small act, yet brimming with immense power. Each shovel's thrust into the fresh soil is not just a mark on the harsh landscape, but a symbol of the yearning for renewal and unyielding hope. The young saplings, their green shoots rising in the morning light, stand as a promise of a brighter future, where divine justice is no longer a distant ideal, but cultivated daily by hearts bold and faith unwavering. Beneath a clear sky, Cheka gently places each sapling into the earth. Her hands, caked with damp soil, reflect a weary face aglow with boundless joy. Each tree is marked with a stone inscribed with words like grace, redemption, faith, courage. These stones will forever testify that even after the darkest night, sacred light endures, guiding the steps of those who dare to pursue justice. Grace is not only present in this spiritual ritual, but shines vividly in the smiles of the women joining. These women who have endured similar pain now tend the sacred ground together, nurturing their own faith and hope. Their tear-filled yet radiant eyes exchange looks of empathy, and in that moment, redemption blazes across the space. This is no supernatural miracle, but the fruit of love, unity, and courage that transforms suffering into constructive strength. This scene not only stirs the hearts of Gibeah's people, but echoes to distant lands. In the dawn's light, the sound of trickling water rises from the well, a song celebrating the triumph of divine justice. The water's flow blends with the cheerful calls of birds, reminding all that faith must be continually nurtured, like watering a young tree. Each droplet is a reminder: justice does not slumber, and grace never ceases to flow. Men and women of the village, once divided in an unjust trial, now gather quietly by the well. They share Cheka's story from the moment her sacred letter was burned to when a miraculous light awakened its ashes. No longer separated by status or power, they set aside old grudges, learning to listen and uphold justice for all. This change stems not from a hasty decree, but from the slow, steadfast, sincere actions of an unnamed woman who dared to trust in faith's power. Cheka and her companion's journey becomes a living emblem of second chances, a concept that resonates deeply in American society today. No matter where we come from or what storms we've weathered, courage and faith are the keys to unlocking hope's door. Like the new roots digging deep into Gibeah soil, steadfast faith anchors us through life's tempests. The message for American audiences today is clear. In a challenging world, divine justice is not a foreign notion. Each of us can be a Cheka, daring to forge ahead, confronting injustice and igniting change. Courage need not be grand gestures. Sometimes it's the steady steps forward, speaking up for the vulnerable or nurturing fundamental human values. Second chances are everywhere, in families, workplaces, communities, in every path of life. When you feel abandoned or lost, remember that grace is always there, in prayers, in compassionate hearts, and in small but meaningful acts. Like Gibeah's sacred well, our hearts can nurture hope and bring redemption to one another. From an unnamed concubine, Cheka has become a beacon for an entire community. Her sacrifice and faith prove that when we dare to believe and act, divine justice prevails, not through earthly power, but through the enduring faith pulsing in humanity's veins. Thank you for following Cheka's extraordinary story and her journey of divine justice. Subscribe to our channel, share this video, and spread grace and second chances to all. May God bless you. See you in the next inspiring story. Thank you for joining us in Cheka's untold tale, a symbol of courage and faith. Subscribe, share this video with friends to spread divine justice and grace. May God's blessings be upon you. Until the next story.